Welcome back to the diDNA Dialogue, everybody. My name is Josh, and today we have the VP of Strategic Partnerships with XCO, Johanna Bergqvist. Johanna, can you kick us off with a little bit of your background in the industry and how you got started with XCO?
And perfect pronunciation of the name.
I had practice.
Probably makes sense to kind of start on the background a little bit. Last name, Swedish, spent some time in Asia, in Japan, lived in London, and then finally have landed in New York, where I've been at XCO for about probably 7 years now. And for those of you who don't sort of know what XCO stands for, which we chatted about a little bit as well, it actually stands for the Experience Company. So we are a Disney-backed content experience company, and we power basically billions of personalized interactions around the web. On the, and I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but predominantly the audience here is publishers. Mm-hmm. So on the publisher side, we provide a full video stack. So that's from content generation. So we help publishers get more video content on their site. That can be through auto generation or syndicated content, and then all the way through the actual monetization, the yield management, and actually the delivery of your campaign, so publishers' campaigns. So in that sense, we're very much a one-stop shop. It's all through a single sign-on, basically one platform. In terms of sort of where we sit in the ecosystem, we're actually quite unique. The company as a whole spans the ad tech space, MarTech, but also e-commerce. So for partners, we actually provide additional tools around collecting first-party data, and that can be through different interactive content experiences such as polls. It's a really smart, engaging way to gather audience insights, which we know is becoming more and more important with all the changes happening. Well, eventually, hopefully happening with the cookie. From the media, from the Ad Monsters event last week, it sounded like maybe that is something that is still on hold, but we'll see. And then in addition to that, we have tools that help editorial teams, marketing teams, help drive subscriptions, and other sort of sales goals. So for publishers, we really do offer tools that help achieve multiple business goals, whether that's revenue or building out your subscription base or collecting email addresses. So a little bit more full service than maybe other companies that sit in this particular niche of the ad tech industry.
Yeah, for sure. And so in your role, you handle specifically publisher development. And I know we kind of talked to that a little bit, but as you said, XCO is a much larger company. So I'm curious, could you give a little bit of a background more on the different pieces there and then how it impacts your day-to-day? Because if you're living and running this one silo, I'm sure the other pieces impact you in some way.
Sure. So we have, I would say we're kind of set up in a way where we have specialist teams and different parts of the platform that a publisher can touch and access. Yeah. So it might be a case, and there's different sort of entry points to a partnership. Yep. So it might be a case where we, start off a relationship whereby we're powering video across a publisher's website, in particular in-stream. So focusing on sort of like autoplay in-stream, a significant revenue stream for a lot of our partners. And as we start to bring account teams on the partnership, we then start opening up other areas of the platform and introducing our tools to other teams at a publisher. So for two reasons, for us, it's really impactful because it helps with retention. It makes us more sticky. It increases product adoption. But on the publisher side, as we all know, you want to work with fewer vendors. You want to try to streamline your operations, almost sort of bigger and better partnerships, which is something, I've seen that happening on the agency and brand side as well. Just trying to reduce the number of companies that you're working with and make it more efficient, basically. Like work with the people you like and that have good technology, basically.
Yeah, that's really smart. So the company kind of saw that there is consolidation in terms of the entire LumaScape, and you're like, how do we compete with that? especially in the video space. Is that essentially what you guys started to think through?
Exactly. And if you look at, and just by attending a lot of these conferences, there's so many companies in this space now, sort of trying to vie, I guess, get the attention of publishers. So I think it's also looking a little bit more holistically at what are the main challenges that publishers are experiencing. They're really trying to, it's hard to be a publisher. It's hard to run a publishing business. It's hard to, have the right model whereby you're balancing, revenue, but also UX and trying to grow your audience base. There's a lot of sort of internal competing interests between different teams who have different KPIs that sometimes don't necessarily marry. Some organizations have more, editorial has more of a voice. Some are a little bit more revenue led. So just trying to make sure we're catering for as many goals as possible, because we know that at the end of the day, growing audience and being able to afford to produce good content and make money is what matters, basically.
Yeah. And that segues perfectly into the different pieces that you have to deal with talking with publishers. So you have to battle for their time and their inventory. And then you've also got a lot of things changing in the industry. Like you mentioned, ad monsters talking to the third-party cookie, and video just being overall, I think, a pretty big focus for a lot of publishers. So with 2022, it's June already, so we're halfway through the year, but what did you foresee as being maybe one of the biggest impacts to you and your silo and Exco, and how did you address that in your strategy going forward?
For 2022, sort of specifically?
Yeah.
2022 has gone by very fast. I believe it's June already. And I think it feels very different to the last 2 years, because we're coming out of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of stuff happening in the market that is impacting, a lot of businesses, whether it's revenue on the revenue side, or whether it's just through the talent retention issues and trying to attract talent. So I think it's understanding that everybody's got a lot on their plates. Mm-hmm. Everybody has sort of maybe bigger company issues that they're looking at as well. So they want to, you want to work with partners that are easy to work with, that, understand the way you're set up. And at the end of the day, that's delivering technology that makes, whoever you're selling to, makes their job easier or makes them look like the hero internally, really. Yeah. So I think sort of thinking about, well, how can we make our technology easier? We've doubled down a lot on self-serve capabilities, basically allowing our partners, not allowing, but opening up some of our back-end features to our clients to enable them to, at a push of a button, on their time, on their terms, make changes, especially on sort of campaign delivery and across their programmatic stack. So allowing them to go in, plug in their own demand, traffic their own direct campaigns, and then at the same time provide all the data back in a very transparent way to manage the stack, really. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot happening in that sort of SPO, area as well. And I think that's where we've kind of pivoted this year from being more of a, I guess, for lack of a better word, demand source, sort of seen as a revenue partnership, to a platform, and really becoming a technology partner. And that was a big change we made earlier this year, just doubling down on that side, basically.
Got it. One of the most, I think, important pieces that you mentioned, you talked platform and full service. It's the self-serve part that I heard was, I'm curious to know, did that expand what publishers you could work with? Because I feel it kind of makes it a little easier for people to onboard. And this is coming, of course, from the sales guy, but did that make that kind of a difference?
Yeah, we've 100%. I think, we're a big company, but at the end of the day, with hybrid work now, I feel like people are working more flexible and fluid hours where, you have the early risers who are like up at 6 a.m., sending out emails like, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you, traffic my campaign? It was also something that we were getting a lot of requests for from like, partners who we've had for years. So we started building out the features. We like prioritized the features we wanted to open up based on, requests that we were getting. It's definitely made onboarding faster, but also the sort of day-to-day more frictionless. And it's something we're going to continue to basically develop. So yeah, I would definitely say it's just changed the way we work with publishers basically and our partners.
Yeah, it's the last 2 years, and coming into 2022, it impacted your future strategy, which I'd be curious to hear. Past 2022, what are you taking? And you kind of just mentioned a little bit of it, but what are you taking from these last 2 years, this last 6 months, and gonna say this is gonna be part of our strategy moving forward? We need to have this.
Yeah. So outside of sort of the self-serve, control, transparency area, I'd say those are like 3 themes. The other area that we're doubling down on is personalization. So we acquired a company called Biblio. It's probably 2 months ago now, maybe longer. Time flies. And they specialize in basically machine learning, AI, and website personalization, something that Exco has always been focused on. But really, we found, one of the best companies in the world in terms of people and technology to apply that technology to our offering. And what it means is that our partners are going to be able to evolve the way they're personalizing their website. So a simple example of that is, right now, say I'm already a Time subscriber, for example, and I land on the website. And for a lot of publishers, it's really hard to personalize the website experience on an individual user level. You might be like personalizing the ads, you might be personalizing different messaging on a subscription pop-up, for example, but it's hard to actually personalize the experience that individual user meets when they land on the page. So think like when you go into Netflix, you get all of your recommendations. So what we are doing is, for example, if I know that a user is a subscriber, you're not going to surface them in any subscription messaging. You might double down on, showcasing them latest video content and thereby, getting an additional monetization opportunity. But really thinking about how you personalize that, first interaction, mobile screen, not a lot of real estate, video takes up usually a big chunk, a subscription banner takes up a big chunk, then you have a high impact MPU. How do you make that experience a little bit less cluttered and more personalized, basically?
Yeah.
So that's something I'm like personally very excited about.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that too. It's almost like the Exco mantra is, while you're in that video space, having that kind of acquisition, it's at the end of the day just providing value to a publisher. Like,
exactly.
Come over to us.
And to the user, actually. And to the user. Like, you like the right experience for the right user, like the most like over said phrase ever, but it really is about that.
That's how publisher traffic grows.
Yeah.
If they cater to their user and they keep doing what they do with their content, then they keep the traffic and traffic grows. So that's a brilliant play. That's really exciting. And also an excellent segue into the publisher advice. So my big question that I always ask on these is, what type of advice, 1 piece, 2 pieces, whatever you have in your mind, that you would share with the publisher trying to navigate this industry right now? And it can be specific to video, it can be specific to Exco and what you guys offer, but you've got a little bit of experience in the industry, so I'd be curious what you would
Don't know how I ended up here, but I used to be a lawyer, and then I worked with viral videos, and I somehow ended up here. But lots of good people and good fun. So on the advice piece, I think every publisher is unique. Some are well funded, some are more bootstrapped. Everyone's, they're all going through their own sort of life cycle. I think having very like honest and open conversations with your technology providers, and building close relationships. Because at the end of the day, if you really voice to me what your challenges are, and that can be anything from like internal politics to if I had this particular feature, it would make my life easier. That really helps us as a company prioritize and really be the best partner that we can. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to work closely together on developing new features or new products that can really transform an organization or publisher. So I think that's really probably my best advice is just, make sure you communicate, make sure you really voice challenges, and brainstorm. Like just take that time to like brainstorm, basically.
That I think people need those reminders, publishers large and small, because I think as you grow, you also kind of forget some of those things too, is that you have to talk with your team. You've got to be able to brainstorm and kind of work through how fast this industry changes. I was surprised. I came from a different industry and came over here, and it's wild how quickly things change. And if you don't do what you just said, then you kind of get left in the dust.
Exactly. And we used to do, well, sort of pre-COVID, and we're bringing it back now, but QBRs was something we did a lot. And even sort of in early sales conversations, just really trying to understand KPIs and challenges. But QBR is always like an amazing opportunity for account teams to meet, to show what's new in the roadmap, but on the other side, on the publishers spectrum, just, anything that's a challenge, and just start to brainstorm of like, how can, because it's really partnerships. It's less transactional than, if you have an e-commerce website and, you're trying to convert customers, it's called publisher partnerships. So it is really like, how as partners can we, grow and do more amazing things together, really.
Yeah, that's excellent. So for publishers, partners, anybody watching today, what's the easiest way for them to get in touch with you and XCO?
So XCO, probably info@ex.co. I'm just Johanna, so you can spare you my last name. Just Johanna at XCO, and I'm Johanna Bergqvist on LinkedIn. There's not that many of them, so pretty easy to find.
What's the nickname?
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on today. Everybody who is watching the diDNA Dialogue today, thank you for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and press like, subscribe to the rest of our videos. And if you have any ideas on who else you'd like to have on our dialogue, please leave a comment below. Johanna, thank you for jumping on again. And I hope
You're more than welcome.
Great rest of your week.
Thank you.